Hello, I'm Kyle Lacroix from Sets Consulting, and this is episode 12 of Set Stories. Today's episode, Doing What Others Won't. Early in my career, I was a coach at Saddlebrook Resort, and I was able to coach a lot of adults and juniors, and I always had a great time doing it. But in all of my practice sessions, I'd always incorporate a few minutes of mini tennis. They could hit any shot they wanted to, but it had to be in the confines of the service boxes. And we always had a great time with this. A lot of my players enjoyed it. They had fun. It was a chance for them to use their creativity and imagination, practice some soft angles, some drop shots, whatever they wanted to do. And it was just such a routine for all of my practices. And as we were doing it, I noticed more and more how all the other courts with all the other players and coaches just seemed to be on the baseline, hitting the ball as hard as they could. And although that's okay, I knew hitting the ball as hard as you can from the baseline isn't the only part of the game. So I just wanted my players to be a little more comfortable up at net. And this is how I always was, and I didn't think much of it. But during this time that I was at Saddlebrook, we had a bunch of professional players there training. And one of those players was Martina Hingis. And we had always passed by each other, and I had always been polite and said hello, and she was polite and said hello back. And that's really as far as it went. Until one day, after I got done with the lesson, one of the top coaches came up to me and said, "Hey, Martina Hingis requested to practice with you tomorrow at 10 a.m. I said yes. I was being professional about it, but deep down inside, I was absolutely smiling, beaming. The coach probably saw that too come out, but didn't really seem to matter. Martina Hingis requested to practice with me, so that's pretty good right there. So I don't think I got much sleep that night, and I got to the court the next morning about 20 minutes early. I always like to be early, so I'm always the first one on the court. And Martina shows up with her mom, and we exchange pleasantries again, and we kind of get started into hitting, but we start doing mini tennis. And I'm thinking, okay, most people are going to do mini tennis for only so long. And 5 minutes went by, and 10 minutes went by, and 15 minutes went by. Next thing you know, we've been doing mini tennis for, a good 30 minutes. And it was great. I mean, we played every iteration of mini tennis down the line, in the doubles alleys, cross court, really didn't matter. But we had a great time doing it. And then we took a quick break, and I'm like, wow, that's probably the longest I've ever played mini tennis. I said, but I loved it. I could do that all day. And Martina and her mom just kind of looked at me and chuckled and said, good. It turns out the reason they had requested me in the first place is because they had seen me on other courts doing mini tennis and helping my students with mini tennis. And that's something that they really enjoyed. And what I found out is a lot of the coaches and top players at the academy didn't actually like practicing with Martina because that's all she wanted to do was play mini tennis. They just wanted to go back and hit the ball from the baseline. And that's not really how Martina practiced, or at least not for the entire practice. So they thanked me for my time, and they requested for me to practice with them a few more times until Martina had to leave again for a tournament. So practiced a few more times, and it was the same thing, about 30, 45 minutes of nothing but mini tennis. And then eventually we would go back to the baseline, but those first few minutes of practice was fantastic. And I only got that opportunity to practice with her because I was able to be a little bit out of the box, because I wasn't that cookie cutter tennis coach. And people do notice that when you're a little bit different, and you kind of go about things in a different way. And I wasn't trying to be different. It was just I was sticking to what I thought was important, my principles and my ethos. And they could clearly see the fun that my students were having on the court. So that was an amazing opportunity to practice with Martina Hingis, and just goes to show you, practice your mini tennis. All right, guys, that's my story. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. If you want to listen to this story again, you can find it on my website, www.setsconsult.org. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. Bye.